Hello, my little spooky scary skeletons, and welcome to hell. My name is Haunted Hippie. Really good to meet you if you're new here. Of course, at this time, we are diving right into spooky season, but on this channel, we celebrate it all year round. So if you are one of our people, then click subscribe, click the like button, click the notification bell, that way you never miss the next video. This was a highly anticipated video by my audience. If you're a returner, welcome back. Love you. Last year, we all had so much fun doing Haunted Hippie's October Watchlist challenge. I really try to make mine as unique as I possibly can. I had a lot of people tagging me last year all over Instagram and Twitter, letting me know what movies they were watching every day, and I love to see the stuff that you guys come up with. I had to come up with an entirely new set of rules for this watchlist challenge. And if you saw my video last year, then you already know, but I really don't like the basic challenges. I do have some really basic days in here because I like to have some generic challenges, that way it gives you a little bit more freedom with what you can watch. So for example, you know, on day number 12, watch a werewolf movie. The majority of my challenges are much more unique than that. Like last year, I had a challenge where one day you had to find a horror movie with a haunted object. My choice for that day was Drag Me to Hell, but it's just like weird little, you know, harder challenges like that. Or another day was watch a movie with your horror crush. Mine are fun. Like, stick around, okay? And this year is no different. Well, all the challenges are different, but like it's similarly gonna be more niche and fun. Okay, let's just get into it. So tomorrow is the first of the month, unless you're watching this on October 1st from the future. Good for you. On October 1st, I want you to watch a one location horror movie, you know, for the first. There are so many of those out there. If you're in a wintry mood, you could throw on The Shining. I'm not usually in a super wintry mood in fall, but I have not rewatched The Lodge since it came out, or since I discovered it in like 2020, but that is a harrowing one location film. Really great performances all around. I just thought that for myself, it was about time to revisit that one. But you also have other movies like 47 Meters Down, you've got Fall. Those are also like survival horror movies, I guess. There are a lot of those to choose from, so the first day is easy. On day number 2, I want you to watch a horror movie with a dynamic duo. I have a feeling that a lot of people are gonna put Bride of Chucky on their list because of these two little clowns, and that's valid. That's a really, really good choice. For me personally, I also have not rewatched Shaun of the Dead since I first watched it in summer of 2021, and to me that's not really acceptable. It's been almost 3.5 years since I've watched that movie, and I loved it so much on my first viewing. 2024 was also the year of the zombies. I got way more into zombie movies, so I think revisiting it after seeing so many of the other classics, I'm gonna appreciate it even more. On day number 3, there are a few days in the month where I really tried to relate it to the actual date. So on day number 3, we have a movie with triangular imagery. This is actually not that hard to do. Like, there are plenty of occulty movies out there, and one movie that I put on my list last year that I didn't get to, I flopped at watching my own October Watchlist challenge, okay? So once again, I will be putting the movie Gretel and Hansel on my October Watchlist. Last year, I wanted you guys to watch a horror movie that had a forest setting, and that was my choice, I think. But the witch's house is just one big triangle in Gretel and Hansel, so that's my choice. You could also watch Longlegs if you didn't happen to see that in theaters in summer. I just wanted to make some of these days kind of hard for you. So I'm really, really curious what you end up choosing for that one. Please let me know in the comments. On day number 4, I decided to go easy on you, and so we have a found footage film. I really want to watch The Taking of Deborah Logan because it's just another one of those movies that it's been years since I've rewatched it, and I've only seen it the one time. Just feels criminal because I remember it being really good. I would like to challenge you to find a found footage movie that you've never seen before. I guarantee that most of you have not seen Troll Hunter. That is an excellent dark comedy. I love that movie so much. Also haven't rewatched it since I first saw it like 4 years ago. Oh man. But yeah, try to challenge yourself. On day number 5, similarly kind of easy, we have a crime thriller. Is this just an excuse for me to rewatch Zodiac because it's difficult for me to casually throw on a 3-hour long movie? Maybe. No, I just feel like crime thrillers tend to be kind of underrated within the horror genre. I mean, Silence of the Lambs, hello. That's the only one that I feel like really gets a lot of love. I mean, Longlegs did kind of change the game this year, but I don't think that Zodiac can really be classified as a horror movie, and so I would maybe try to find one that dips its toes in both genres. Like Seven. I feel like Seven is a horror movie, but whatever. People want to fight me. I bet a lot of you guys also haven't seen Insomnia, starring Robin Williams. It's one of his only kind of darker roles, and it was directed by Christopher Nolan. Anyway, I just think the crime thriller genre has so much to offer horror fans that kind of gets overlooked. On day number 6, I want you to watch a foggy movie. I'm going with the really obvious choice, John Carpenter's The Fog. That's just because I don't feel like I really appreciated it on my first watch, and I want to give it another go because because I feel like I'll like it more on a second viewing. It just has such a dynamite cast. I don't really know what I was tripping on the first time I watched it, but I also watched it with my dad and he wasn't really impressed either. So we're gonna get to the bottom of that this year, okay? But there are plenty of really good atmospheric foggy movies. Another good choice for you would probably be like Silent Hill. Ooh, that one, I really do like to throw that movie on when we get the first like June gloom morning of the year. I don't always actually watch it. I just really like the ambiance. Maybe it's time that I actually finally rewatch it as a movie and like give it the full attention. I don't know. On day 7, taking it easy on you again, we have a creature feature. And A Quiet Place Day 1, seeing that over the summer, it really has me hankering to rewatch it, and also my partner has never seen it. So I'll personally be watching the original A Quiet Place. It is, I think, far and away the best of that franchise, but there are so many creature features out there. I don't think I really need to list those off. You could probably handle that one. Now for number 8, one of my favorites, I want you to watch a movie with a mad scientist. You could watch probably almost any of the Frankenstein movies, of which there have been so many over the decades, but I'm challenging myself to a rewatch of Reanimator because I was pretty young when I first watched that movie and it really gave me the ick. I'm sure you've noticed the trend by now, but this is the year of reevaluations for Haunted Hippie, okay? I love my girl Barbara Crampton. I think we'll have a challenge day specifically devoted to her next year, but I chose another actor for this year. If there's another movie with a mad scientist that I'm neglecting, then let me know down below. I think you could probably also consider like Adrian from The Invisible Man. The Invisible Man, that movie's a great time. Maybe I should instead challenge myself to watch the original Invisible Man from, from the 20s or 30s? Maybe I will, because it would tie in really nicely with another challenge day. We'll get there when we get there. On October 9th, I want you to watch a vampire movie. More specifically, I would like you to watch one that you haven't seen before, but if you have like a tried and true one that you watch every single year, you just want to watch a favorite, then go for it. I will be watching The Lost Boys because it's also a classic that I've only seen the one time. I have got to stop. I promise I do. That was just a trend for like the first, I don't know, third of the month, that I'm just in a rewatching kind of mood this year. It's been 4.5 years since I started this channel, and so a lot of the classics I watched for the first time way back then and haven't revisited a lot of them. So sue me, okay? Sue me. I want to watch The Lost Boys. It's also a movie that I really want to do a deep dive on at some point, so let me know if that interests you. On day number 10, I want you to watch a Tobe Hooper movie. Now, my personal favorite has to be Poltergeist. Okay, that's my #1 horror movie of the 1980s. Well, I don't know actually. That it has potential to be dethroned, but I've loved that movie ever since I was a kid, so that's tough to say. I want to watch a Tobe Hooper movie that I've never seen before. It's been on my list for so long, but it's called Life Force, and I'm pretty sure that it is also a vampire movie, but don't tell me in the comments. I like to go into horror movies as blind as I possibly can, and also especially if a movie has been out for over 40 years and I've somehow never gotten a spoiler for it. I love that. I didn't watch the original Friday the 13th until I was 20 years old, and I never had the killer spoiled for me. Can you imagine? Let people live in ignorance. I've had it on Blu-ray forever. Somebody sent it to me, and I'm just all out of excuses. I gotta throw that one on. Now, number 11. I know that a lot of you guys love 80s horror, so I got you. Last year, I simply said, watch a horror movie from the 1980s. This year, I want you to specifically watch Reagan-era horror. This most famously includes movies like John Carpenter's They Live. A horror movie that apparently covers this topic that I haven't seen is Day of the Dead, so I might go with that one. But one of my absolute favorites has to be The Stuff. This is the one that I would most highly recommend if you're unfamiliar with this super kind of niche subgenre of horror. Well, no, you know what? It can't be that niche because the politics of the time like very clearly had their claws in horror. Return of the Living Dead, the best zombie movie ever made, also came out during that time. So if you haven't seen that, definitely give that one a go. I feel like The Stuff is the most underrated of all of those, so you've got options. And if you happen to watch Return of the Living Dead and that gives you a hankering to watch the other movies of that franchise, because parts 2 and 3 are also really good, on day number 12, don't worry, I want you to watch a zombie movie. That subgenre has so much more to offer than I could have ever anticipated. It used to be one of my least favorite subgenres of horror. That title, I think, can still easily be given to like religious horror and exorcism horror. I have so much more respect for zombie movies after this whole year of catching up on some of the cult classics that I've totally missed. So if you don't go with Return of the Living Dead on day 11, then on the 12th, absolutely watch that one. If I'm known for nothing else than getting thousands more people to watch Return of the Living Dead, sad, then that's fine. I'll die a happy person. Now on October 13th, our favorite day, last year I did say on the 13th, watch a Friday the 13th horror movie. I think because last year it literally was Friday the 13th in October, I decided to be a little bit more vague to switch it up, but I want you to watch a movie involving the number 13. It doesn't have to be in the title, it can be just kind of like a big theme throughout the movie, but you can totally go for a Friday the 13th movie. If you always watch one of those in October, then go for it. Another obvious option would be either of the 13 Ghosts movies. I enjoy both of them, both the one from the early 2000s and the one from the 1960s. Maybe try out the one from the 1960s if you've only seen the remake. A more unlikely option for you would be John Carpenter's Assault on Precinct 13. That one actually predates Halloween and it's an excellent film. Is it horror? No, but it's John Carpenter, so do with that information what you will. On the 14th, yes, I was inspired by Longlegs for this pick. I want you to watch a movie with a scary toy. Now you can go the easy route. Again, we've got these lovely little ass clowns back here. You can watch one of their movies. An underrated movie that I talked about several months ago when I released my top 10 underrated horror movies of the 1990s video was Demonic Toys. This is one that yet again I am due for a rewatch of. If you really like 90s movies that feel super 80s, then you'll really like this one. Lots of practical effects, super corny, just a good time. I'm not gonna say why I was inspired by Longlegs if somehow you haven't seen that movie yet, which you should. Catch up on that before the end of the year. But if you've seen it, then if you know, you know. On the 15th, I want you to watch an alien horror movie, preferably one that you haven't seen before, unless it's been a long time since you've watched the Alien franchise, then maybe, maybe do a little doubleheader there. I personally want to watch War of the Worlds from the 1950s. This was one of my grandpa's favorite movies. It's, again, it's just been a little while since I've rewatched it. I want to show it to my partner. The practical effects from the 1950s hold up shockingly well. It's not one of the best of the 50s, okay? I'm your girl, by the way. If you want a good 50s horror movie recommended to you, just say less, okay? Look no further. War of the Worlds, I would not put it in the top tier, but it's mid-tier. It's like super entertaining and it's a good time. On the 16th, I want you to watch a Stephen King adaptation. There is so much to pull from there. You could watch the It movies. Again, you could watch The Shining. You could watch The Mist. You could watch Misery, which I am gonna watch Misery. Been too long since I've done a rewatch. I am planning on releasing a deep dive as we get closer to winter. You can look out for that either next month or in December. Probably in December. Maybe January, because that movie has such an isolating feeling to it, and you know how you kind of get the blues and you feel quite alone after the holidays? Yeah. I feel like the It adaptations are the most Halloween time, fall time feeling Stephen King adaptations though. Or, I mean, maybe Carrie, because you could kind of consider that like a back to school horror movie, even though it takes place in spring with the prom, but whatever. On the 17th, I want you to watch a horror movie with your favorite kind of practical effects. My favorite kinds of practical effects are, first of all, anything goopy. Okay, I love goo. Second of all, I love an animatronic. Oh my god. But I also adore creature acting when a human is dressed up in like a full body suit, like Alien, the original Alien. So I thought that, I would cheat a little bit because this is like my third favorite kind of practical effect, the full body suit thing. But I want to rewatch Pumpkinhead because it's like a small town, rural, fall time feeling horror movie. And it's just really, really goofy 80s, and that's typically what I'm in the mood for this time of year. If I were to watch my actual favorite practical effects of all time, I probably would be rewatching Hellraiser. I know that's kind of a hot take. Maybe I should do like a top 10 list video or something on, my favorite practical effects, because everyone else would say The Thing. I'm sure a lot of you guys are just gonna throw on The Thing. But another great one would obviously be like Gremlins, although maybe you should save that till Christmas. On the 18th, yet again, I themed it to the number of the date. I want you to watch a coming of age horror movie, and this might be a little bit tricky to pinpoint. I feel like almost any horror movie with children, any kind of gateway horror movie, maybe like The Goonies, not totally horror, but it's kind of in that vibe, like anything produced by Spielberg and Amblin Entertainment in the 80s, it has a gateway horror feeling. Or you could watch something like Paranorman, maybe, or Coraline. For me, I have not rewatched It Follows in way too long. And of course, with the upcoming They Follow, what better time to rewatch it? I feel like you could probably also classify even like the Happy Death Day movies, maybe as coming of age. You could watch like a birthday themed horror movie. But I'm talking a little more specifically about something with a thematic resonance to growing older. And It Follows, that's specifically covering, the discovery and the pitfalls of sexuality. Maybe Midsommar, you could count Midsommar, but that's totally a springtime movie for me. That's another day that I'm really curious what your choice would be. On the 19th, I want you to watch a horror movie from the 1960s. I feel like it is a painfully overlooked decade of horror. From myself, mostly. I would say that that decade is still one of my biggest blind spots, besides when you get, pre-1950s. But one of my favorite super underrated movies of the 1960s is Straight Jacket. It's gone by different names. I don't know if that's actually the name of it on Letterboxd, but it's directed by William Castle, who did the original 13 Ghosts, and he did House on Haunted Hill. It stars Joan Crawford, and she bodies this role, okay? Try it out. I think that you would have so much fun with it. On the 20th, though, I do kind of want to reel it back, okay? I like to take you on a little roller coaster, and the 20th will be a little bit easier. I want you to try out a gateway horror film. I consider so many things to be gateway horror, specifically a lot of early 2000s, even 90s blockbusters as well. I'm taking it all the way back to the 80s though, okay? I'm watching Indiana Jones, and nobody can stop me. You mean to tell me that people's faces melting off and grabbing the heart right out of somebody's chest is not horror? Miss me with that, okay? Miss me with that. You know what else is really great gateway horror? The original Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy. Directed by who? Gore Verbinski. That also gave us The Ring and A Cure for Wellness. I think that Harry Potter is totally gateway horror, most specifically Chamber of Secrets and also Prisoner of Azkaban. That involves giant spiders, giant snakes, werewolves, like give it to me all day. Or you can go for like animated children's horror, Corpse Bride, stuff like that. Last year I did have a day dedicated to stop motion animation horror. I'm a big fan. So watch something that might feel a little bit unlikely and just enjoy all the horror elements that pop up. On the 21st, I want you to watch an intoxication movie. Now, if you're somebody that's sober and that's difficult, I have an alternative. Something that might make you feel equally crazy is your in-laws. If you're going with the in-law theme, then I would recommend Ready or Not or You're Next. If you're going with the intoxication movie, then oh my goodness, I don't think that you're actually ready for this French film. Climax follows this dance troupe and somebody spikes their punch bowl, I think with acid. It is such a bad trip, this movie. If you want something a little bit more lighthearted and something that is not at all accurate to real life, maybe try Shrooms. But you could also go with something really easy and watch a classic like Idle Hands, go for a stoner horror movie. On the 22nd, I'm really not giving you a break because I want you to watch a cosmic horror movie. I'm only familiar with a couple of these myself. Shudder released one, I think last year or the year before, and I wasn't super crazy about that, but I am pretty crazy about Color Out of Space. This one also stars Nick Cage, so I'm just like totally biased, but I know that I have watched other cosmic horror movies, just none of them have stuck with me the way that Color Out of Space has. It's so absurd, but in my opinion, in all the best ways. Like, why does Tommy Chong star in it? I don't know. That's not for either you or I to know. That's just for us to enjoy, okay? Now, we will reel it in a bit for the 23rd, okay? I want you to watch a movie from the Child's Play franchise, and you might have already thrown some of those on your list, so maybe this year you are in the mood to rewatch, like, the Tiffany saga. So for all the dates that I've given you that involve toys and stuff, on the 2nd of the month when you're watching one with a dynamic duo, you start with Bride of Chucky, and then when you get to whatever day with scary toys, you can watch Seed of Chucky, and then on the 23rd, you can watch Curse of Chucky, And then I have one more that Cult of Chucky will line up with, don't worry. On the 24th, yet again, just let your brain relax. It's like the middle of the week. I think the 24th is like a Wednesday or something. I want you to watch a shitty horror remake. There are so many horrible remakes from the early 2000s that I adore. House of Wax, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which arguably not really shitty, but Friday the 13th. Another one is The Uninvited, which I just have been in the mood to rewatch. It's kind of more of a summer horror movie, but it is indeed a bad remake that I very much enjoy. I kind of couldn't help myself last year. One of the days I was like, watch one of your guilty pleasure horror movies, but I don't really believe in that terminology anymore, so I'm just straight up saying, like, watch a shitty remake. They're so fun. On the 25th, I want to celebrate our favorite boy, Kevin Bacon, who is just so underrated as a horror actor. I feel like maybe not so much now because just this year he starred in Maxine, and I hope that means people have gone back and watched more of his horror filmography, but one that I have not watched since I was 12 years old is Tremors. It's just about time. I love his filmography so much. I challenge you to watch one of his horror movies that you haven't seen before, maybe like Stir of Echoes or Hollow Man. I haven't even seen Hollow Man. I guess you could try out that movie he was in a couple years ago, You Should Have Left, but I would say you should leave that movie alone. Moving on to the 26th, which is a Saturday, and if you're more of a homebody like me and you're not going out for a Halloween party, you're staying in, don't worry, worry, we can party at home, okay? On the 26th, I want you to watch a college horror movie. I will be rewatching the remake of Sorority Row. I might also watch the original because I've never seen it in its entirety. That might be the better call. But the remake has Carrie Fisher. Like, leave me alone. I think they're also rebooting that franchise, or there was a rumor or something. Whatever. I feel like revisiting it regardless. There's plenty of college horror. I think one of the most underrated ones that you should absolutely watch if you haven't is Night of the Creeps. I love this movie to death. I think it's the top tier most underrated horror movie of the 1980s. My favorite role with Tom Atkins ever. So fun, corny, gory, you name it. Another super underrated one is Rush Week, but I have to stop. Just go watch my top 10 underrated horror movies of the 1980s video, okay? On the 27th, this odd little prime number day, I want you to watch a horror movie with a twist. Maybe you can find one that you know has an iconic twist that hasn't been spoiled for you. Maybe you could check out like a Shyamalan movie that you haven't seen. For me, again, it's just been a while since I've rewatched Orphan. I want to give that one a go. That one is so iconic, and believe it or not, I've only ever seen it the one time. I was like 22 or 23 the first time that I watched that movie, and I had never had the twist spoiled for me. Thank God. Or excuse me, that was blasphemous. Hail Satan. If you're a newbie to the horror genre, by the way, and you're just like kind of starting to get into it this year and you kind of don't know anything about anything, go for The Sixth Sense, okay? That one's iconic. If you haven't seen that, no shame. Go for it. On the 28th, I want you to watch the black sheep of a horror franchise. Do you see how I kind of lined that up with Child's Play? So you could put Cult of Chucky there, even though arguably I do think that Seed of Chucky is the obvious choice for the black sheep of the franchise. But Seed of Chucky is literally in my top 3. Like, I love that movie, so yes, that is what I'll be watching. But you could also watch like Jason Goes to Hell. You could watch Freddy's Dead. Scream, listen, I guess you could say Scream 3, but I don't think that counts because once again, Scream 3 is in my top 3 of that franchise. Oh my god, you know what you could go for? Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. This stars Oscar-nominated / winners Matthew McConaughey and Renee Zellweger. It's so much more insane than I could ever explain to you, I promise you that. But it's so much fun. Like, that one I think I also ranked at like number 4 in the TCM franchise. Don't come for me, my taste is kind of corny sometimes. Okay, anyway, on the 29th, now, given that the lunar cycle is about 29 and a half days, I want you to watch a horror movie with the moon. Now, of course, this will probably lead you to a werewolf movie. It will for me personally, because Ginger Snaps is one of my favorite horror movies of all time. So yes, of course, the moon is featured, but I think the moon is also featured in like The Fog. Surprisingly not in An American Werewolf in London, from what I remember. If you want to go for something that's definitely not a horror movie, but was directed by a horror director, Robert Eggers, you could watch The Northman, okay? There are some gorgeous scenes shot under the moonlight in that movie, but that's a tough one. That was the toughest one for me because all I can really think about is werewolf movies, but I know that there are shots of the moon in so many movies out there. So again, let me know, what's your pick? On the 30th, I want you to watch a classic that you've never seen. Now, I'm sure that if you're one of my viewers that's quite a bit older than me, this will be a lot harder for you, but I'm sure that there are still cult classics out there that you haven't seen, modern classics, like there's gotta be something, okay? One that I still have not seen, that I've been terrified to watch, to be really honest with you, is A Clockwork Orange, and I don't know how much that really is considered to be a horror film. All I know is that there are very horrifying elements in it, and it's why I've pushed off watching it. But it's just kind of unreal. People get really surprised when I say that I still haven't seen that one. So I'm going for it. I'm gonna be brave. Now, obviously, on the 31st, I couldn't help myself. I think it's the exact same as last year. I just have a movie set on Halloween. This leaves you super open to watch any of the movies of the Halloween franchise. You can watch Trick or Treat. Again, you can watch Idle Hands. Apparently, Texas Chainsaw 3D takes place on Halloween, but like, there's very little to suggest that, but it is. It's a Halloween movie. I don't think you'll have too much trouble with that one. I made it easy for a reason because you have to watch a Halloween movie on Halloween. I love so many movies of the Halloween franchise, and even though I've already rewatched the original this year, I might watch the original again. I don't care. I never get enough of it. I'll be watching it probably in my Little John Halloween costume. I think me and my boyfriend are going as Big and Little John. I'm so excited. Are you excited that it's October? Are you so pumped? Because I am. If you're not ready to get to work and get this whole watch list sorted out yet, then maybe just let me know what you're thinking your Halloween costume is gonna be. I'm so excited to chat all things spooky season, and of course that will continue throughout this month. There are some big movies coming out, so expect some movie reviews coming your way. You can expect some spooky season themed deep dives this month as well. Also, over on the second channel, channel, I'll be going on some adventures this year, going to hopefully some VHS stores in Hollywood, you know, tracking down all the physical media shops that still exist. I want to go to all of the shooting locations of the original Halloween, of A Nightmare on Elm Street. A lot of those locations are really close to where I live over in Pasadena. So definitely follow the second channel if you love travel content, if you love physical media. But if you want even more bonus reviews and behind the scenes insight to this channel and my short horror films, then join the Patreon. We love the patrons, okay? They keep this channel afloat during the off season, believe you me. That's why they get a bonus video every single week. Everything else that you need is listed down below. Follow me on Instagram. I got a horror Instagram, you know? But more than anything, I just hope that you enjoyed this video and that I catch you in the next one. Bye.